Friday night, and the drinks are on my mind. The decision sets in, one that will churn your skin. The lover's right, let them have their time. And I have this notion, let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. You thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I think it's absurd, but until then you'll leave your words. But lay on, lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, you say that you are innocent, but your words, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, oh you have reached your lover's end. No more will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for.
Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here from Black Flag Racing TV, and have we got an absolute stonker for you. Some of you may have caught up with the final race of the GTI season, which was a couple of weeks ago on Black Flag TV here. But we are starting season 3. It is the GT Invitational Racing League. Season 3, round number 1, brought to you from the brilliant Brands Hatch. We have got a few changes to the format for this season, and I will go through them with you. But this, here we are. I don't know why that says the Circuit de la South. That's the wrong track. Let me change the track very quickly. I'll tell you what I did wrong is I've uploaded the wrong track. I will do that immediately. We're actually at Brands Hatch today, not the Circuit de la South. This is what happens when you come in from work all sweaty and hot, and you get all stressed out. There we go. That's what you want to look at, isn't it? There we go, Brands Hatch. So let's have a little look at the format for this evening. I'll just bring that up now for you. Right, so it is 2 rounds of racing. Round 1 and round 2, obviously, that's how it works when you've got 2 rounds of racing. Over 10 rounds, so it's 2 races per event, 10 rounds, 2 races per round, 10-minute qualifying, which starts in a couple of minutes. First race is 20 minutes on the racing softs. That is set by the qualifying grid. Then that is followed by a 40-minute on racing softs or mediums. That is set with the front 3 from race number 1 going reversal to the back of the grid, and then everybody else set on the grid based on fastest lap. Tuning is on, gearbox is fully customisable, the power is restricted to 540 brake horsepower, 1300 kilograms of base weight, and there is a success balance introduced every round. So if you come first, it's 60, if you come second, it's 40, if you come third, it's 20 kilos of ballast, which essentially slows you down, or is supposed to slow you down. That's kind of the plan. Terms of points, there are 80 points available for the 2 races, plus an additional set of points for qualifying, 30 points for race number 1, 50 points for race number 2, and that's what goes right down the order to the very bottom. So by the end of the season we should have people on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of points. I've explained how the grid works. There's nothing really that changes there. This is race number 1, of course, from Brands Hatch. Over the course of this 10-week season, we will be at Spa, Dragon Trail, Suzuka, and Bathurst. Great, I love Bathurst. One of my favourite tracks, as you probably all know if you watch me on a regular basis. Fuji International Speedway, Interlagos, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, and then we finish on Grand Valley Highway after 10 races. No team events this time out. Last time out, of course, it was a team, an individual and a team-based competition, but now it is every man for himself. No question about that at all. I can turn the mic down if you so wish. Would you like me to turn the microphone down? I can do that. People normally complain they can hear the cars more than me on the mic. But you know, it's what it is. Maybe I'm just incredibly loud all the time. Maybe that's the problem. So let's have a little looky see who we've got on the track today. We've got Lee Cole in the Corvette C7, Pagani in the R8 LMS Evo. Not a big fan of the R8 personally, but people that can get that car dialed in tend to be relatively quick. Lead from Eteamhard in the FT1 VGT. Nightfire is rocking that 458 Italia GT3. Awesome car that. Don't know how good it's going to be around Brands Hatch though. Dusty Fossil in the F-Type. Joker is also in that R8. 458 Italia for Mick Astley. He's never going to give it up. The CSDK, he's in the 458 Italia also. Zomlar royalty apparently in the Corvette C7. Drox is also in the 458 Italia. I'm Bruce Lee in the V12 Vantage, and that's your 11 runners this evening. They are currently practicing. We should expect to start relatively quickly for qualifying. It will be a relatively short qualifying session, which will set the grid. And what we'll do a little on board and a little talk about Brands Hatch during the actual qualifying procedure. So there we go. There we have it. This is it's a first for Black Flag Racing TV. Actually, we often broadcast over two platforms, over two channels, for different competitions. But today we're actually going live from Black Flag Racing TV, from the GTI, their own individual racing league page, and also from the eTeamHARD YouTube channel. You can watch on all three, of course. It would be great if you dropped all three a like and all three a little subscribe to say hello and show some love. That would be awesome. But we will catch up with each driver and sort of see what they're all about pretty much whenever they're ready to go. Asking me if I'm ready? I'm always ready. Absolutely I am. Oh, wrong keyboard. This is the problem with running two keyboards. There we go. Right, so I think qualifying is about to start, and we can start to have a look at relative pace. Now, Pine GTS, he was the winner last time out at Bathurst, and I believe the winner of Season 2, but not racing this evening. So I can tell you for one thing, the reigning champion will not be at the top of the pile come the end of today's race. Who will be? It's going to be. I think it's going to be quite hotly contested. There's some really good drivers out there, and I'm expecting to see some very high quality racing. Brands Hatch is always that sort of racetrack that it can bring some incredibly close racing, but also it's one of those racetracks where if it goes horribly wrong, you can get punished. And we'll go over the racetrack a little bit in a minute with the qualifying just beginning. Now let's jump straight in and have a look at who's doing what. PD, if you're watching, come on guys, sort this thing out, or I have to do this every single time. Really need to sort out this menu popping up thingy that I have to do it every single time. Right, okay, quite a few going out on track straight from the outset. Zomlar leads them out, so Zomlar will get the honour of giving us our track rundown at the end of this, which is his outlap, of course. And he's in that Corvette C7, which is a very car. It's a very car. It's a very good car. And with his Sneak Energy livery there. As eTeamHARD Bruce Lee decides he would rather be leading them out, and so he will. He's taken his Aston Martin into the lead of this qualifying session, so he'll get the onboard instead. Assuming, of course, he makes it to the line without being overtaken before then. So let's go into. No, he won't. Pagani gets it now. There we go, and we can give a proper full rundown on a lap around this absolutely awesome racetrack. Brands Hatch, of course, is in UK, the home of motor racing, of course. The home of some of the greats of motor racing as well. So this is where your lap starts. You come through the final corner of the Clark curve, heading down that Jack Brabham straight. The quicker you can get out of Clark on the power, the better. You want to drift over to the right hand side for Paddock Hill Bend. Really tricky corner here, because not only is it dipping, it's also kind of cambering to the left and the right hand side, so you have to be really careful, particularly getting on the power and in the exit. Then you're up to Druids, this big 180 hairpin that takes you down to the Graham Hill Bend. Graham Hill, of course, the father of Damon Hill, and one of the greats of motor racing. This is where you head down to Surtees. Now on the Indy track you would dive off to the right hand side there, but Surtees takes you round into Pilgrim's Drop. A little rise up the hill as it curves round to the right, and then you'll see the track falls away here, dropping down Hawthorne Hill into Hawthorne Bend, turn number 5. Little lift really before you can get back on that power. Use the curbs, that's what they're there for. The Derek Minter Straight takes you into the Westfield Bend, turn number 6, then down what is known as Dingle Dell. It used to be at one stage an incredibly dangerous chicane that used to throw cars up on the right hand kink of the chicane, and often they would struggle to get the grip back for the left hand portion of it. They changed it to straight part track because a few motorcycles really struggled with it, and there were some deaths. So they kind of straightened it out in I think it was the 1970s, and now it's essentially just a flat out section of track. But there you go, that is your onboard lap around Brands Hatch, and Pagani puts in the fastest lap. That's a 1:23.5 from him in that Audi R8. Lead puts himself on the front row just behind him, 0.3 of a second behind. That's not too shabby with a 23.924. Row 2 is currently occupied by one joker, who is just over a tenth behind lead on that after that first hot lap. Zomlar, that's the wrong direction, my friend. You can't park that there, mate. So get it back on track if you can, and that would be awesome. But currently sits on the second row alongside one joker, but just 0.01 of a second slower. So that's easy enough to find, even for a very, very slow driver like me, I think. Nightfire heads up row 3 and has got Lee Cole for company. And even closer gap, Mick Astley is just 0.01 of a second slower than Lee Cole, and heads up row 4. Has got Dusty Fossil for company. Drox 11 seconds off the pace at the moment with a 1:36.9. He's on row 5 with Armard Bruce Lee, and at the moment at the back of the pack is CSSDK with a 1:50.5. I'm assuming that's going to change pretty quickly. But we have a look at the top 8 in fact. They're separated by just 1.8 seconds. That's quite a close field. And as Dusty Fossil crosses the line there, that gap for the top 8 has been closed to just 1.1 seconds difference. Nothing in it between those 9. Any one of those 9, as it stands, could find themselves on pole. I'm Bruce Lee, CSDK, they've got some time to put in. Lee Cole does improve significantly up to 7th. Drox also improves. The Portuguese driver finds himself now in 8th on row number 4. Pagani is your pole sitter. Still didn't improve on the 1:23.5, but currently sitting on the top of the tree. Mick Astley has improved with a 23.7 and sits in 2nd. Splits Pagani and Joker up. Lead dropping down to 4th on the grid as one joker improves on his time with a 23.8. Lead facing in the wrong direction briefly is back off the grass and is now back underway, so this lap will not be an improvement. Zomlar still running in 5th with CSDK now much improved up to 6th position. Nightfire is running 7th. Looks like he's had an off though, so he's waiting for everybody else to get back on the, well, eventually everyone else to get back on the racetrack. I apologise for my dog whimpering in the background. I don't know why my dog has decided to start freaking out. It's far too hot for a dog to be doing that right now. Just 0.04 of a second separate Nightfire and CSDK as it stands. Lee Cole, 9th on the grid, crossing the line. Does he improve on that 24.4? He does with a 24.0. That bumps him up to 7th. Ahead of CSDK. Nightfire again off the track. Is he trying to find alternative lines? Armard Bruce Lee is currently 10th, 2.2 seconds behind Pagani's pole sitting time, and Dusty Fossil at the back of the pack. And it is the entire field of 11 drivers separated by just 2.3 seconds here at Brands Hatch. There is your pole sitter. He has significantly improved on that 1:23.5 this time out. He's gone sub 23, the 1:22.4. No one as yet has gone sub 23 other than Pagani. And as I say that, Joker does exactly that with a 22.7, closing that gap on Pagani to just under 0.3. So front row is Pagani with Joker, Mick Astley and Zomlar currently on row number 2. Row 3 is Lead and Dusty Fossil from ETH. Then we've got Drox and Lee Cole on row 4. Row 5 is CSSDK, and Nightfire joins him on row 5 with Armard Bruce Lee now bringing up the rear in 11th position right there in that Aston Martin. Gorgeous looking car, that. And I'm loving the colour and the delivery, of course. Hasn't it been hot today? I don't know what it's like for Drox in Portugal. I'm assuming it's pretty hot in Portugal right now. But us Brits have been experiencing a little bit of a purple patch in terms of weather. So you will excuse the whirring in the background, which is my fan, which is working double time. Interesting spin there from Pagani, but does rescue that quite elegantly. Let's have a look at some of these liveries, shall we? Obviously we've got the standard GTI stuff, which you'd expect, and the eTeamHARD stuff, but looking very, it looks very Audi. I know you could argue it is an Audi, of course it looks Audi, but the livery looks quite Audi-ish. Certainly does. One Joker. See, that looks less Audi than the other Audi, in my opinion, but still very, very cool with that blue and black livery. Lee Cole with the Corvette, red, white and blue, typical standard stuff for a Corvette. And do want to point out the Mind logo on the side, which is a very, very worthy charity if you are considering donating somewhere. Mick Astley, never going to give up, and that pink and I love the pink and black combination on particularly on Ferraris. I think it looks very, very good. I'm not sure how comfortable Enzo Ferrari would be with that combination, but I think it's cool. CSDK gone for the very standard red on the Ferrari, and I'm assuming Fat Dane is because that's his name, Fat Dane, but he's got CSDK up there, so that's what I'm going to call him. But yeah, very standard red livery there on that Ferrari. Zomla Sneak Energy, we saw that earlier, that's very, very cool. Lead has gone for his eTeamHARD livery on, that's the FT1, isn't it, the VGT. That's a very cool car, Larry, very, very cool car. Final lap of qualifying for everyone. We'll have a quick run through in a minute. Dusty Fossil, orange and black on that car. Looks very, very good. Drox in the Ferrari. Again, a lot of the standard red influence. Very Italian looking for the Portuguese driver. Nightfire's gone for black and green on the Ferrari. And with a kind of colour combo across the side. And I'm our Bruce Lee. If he hasn't got Bruce Lee on the side, of course he hasn't, in the British Racing Green Aston Martin, of course. So, as it stands, end of the qualifying, and Pagani holds that fastest lap just outside the 121s with a 122.002, putting him firmly on pole ahead of One Joker. He is on a hot lap, but is he going quick enough to make up that 4/10 deficit? Currently 122.413 for him. Needs to find half a second basically, and it doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to usurp Pagani from the pole position, and he certainly isn't. He's very, very slow actually there. So that doesn't improve. Joker will stay on the front row behind Pagani. There you have it. That is the full rundown. Let's bring up everything for your viewing pleasure. So here we go. So Pagani takes pole with a very, very convincing 122.002 in the R8. One Joker also in that R8 with a 22.4. Then outside the 122s we hit the 123s, and that's Lee Cole in the Corvette C7 with a 23.2. Mick Astley joins him on that road too in the 458 Italia with a 123.7. Just a tenth behind is the Fat Dane CSSDK, also in that 458 Italia with a 23.8. 23.8 also for Zomla in the Corvette C7. In that FT1 VGT is a lead with a 23.9. Dusty Fossil just behind him in the F-Type with a 24.0. Drox in the 458 and Nightfire also in the 458 with a 24.0 and a 24.1 respectively. They're on row 5, and I'm on Bruce Lee in the Aston Martin V12 Vantage with a 124.7. Will be on the back of the grid for this first race. There we have it. That was a pretty close qualifying session. PD need to fix this thing with the lobby where the thing changes size in between qualifying. We don't need the qualifying times up there, do we, PD? Come on, guys. You know, we don't need to have different screens for every lobby. So qualifying done, the race will begin. There'll be a 5-minute gap in between the two races because it's a little bit of a thing to organise with the. So essentially, this is what's going to happen. The top 3 in this race will go to the back of the grid in reverse order, and then everybody else will be allocated their spot on the grid based on their best or fastest lap. If anyone gets disconnected in race number 1 or anyone comes late, they obviously go immediately to the back of the grid for race number 2. Is that simple enough? Good. I'm very, very happy for you all. So just waiting for the race to begin and we can get cracking here at Brands Hatch. It's an absolutely phenomenal racetrack, Brands Hatch. It's essentially 2 circuits. You've got the Grand Prix circuit, which we're on today, and then you've got the Indy circuit, which essentially chucks a right at turn 4 Surtees. It's just the 5 corners on the IndyCar circuit, or I don't know, IndyCar circuit, the Indy circuit, which is predominantly for your much smaller cars and your kind of short races and your karts and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's been around many years. A lot of the corners named after very famous racing drivers. Of course, you've got Graham Hill Bend, Graham Hill. You've got the Brabham Straight for Jack Brabham, Jim Clark Curve. Jim Clark is a very famous British driver. The Sheen Curve, which is turn 7, straight after Dingledale, named after the motorcycle champion Barry Sheen, of course. Stirling's, which isn't named after Stirling Moss, believe it or not. It's actually named after the farm quite nearby, which is called Stirling's, essentially. Clearways is the rundown from Stirling's to Clark Curve. No one knows why it's called that. Nobody called Clearways. But interesting story about John Surtees, who turn 4 is named after. He is the only driver in the world to have won a Formula 1 World Championship and a Motorcycle World Championship. Nobody has done it since, before, or ever again. The only man in the world to ever do that. So I think he deserves to have every corner named after him. That is some achievement, I can tell you that. Just waiting for this race to start. Shouldn't take too long. It is, for the looks of things, going to be a rolling start for these guys, which I don't know whether I'm a fan of a rolling start. My issue with a rolling start is that you are really penalised. When you could qualify just behind someone in terms of pace, but you'll find someone 5 or 6 places down the grid is already at a significant deficit. So I suppose from the advantage of getting pole position is brilliant because it spreads the field out a little bit. I quite like the jeopardy of a grid start. It requires you to get things right from the off. You are relying on a car that's a little bit better off the line. Obviously, these guys will have tuned their car to the limit, the absolute limit, to get the best performance they can out of each of these cars. And I'm sure they've been sharing a tip or 2. I certainly think they will. Apologies for the noise in the background, of course. So we're just waiting for Mick Astley to come back. He said he was never going to give us up, and he didn't even stick to that past qualifying. Hopefully he comes back, and comes back very soon. And then, of course, we can get cracking. That'd be awesome. It's very hot. Who's been stuck in this god-awful heat today? Because it has been woeful, to be fair. Working in this heat is an absolute pig. But let's face it, we don't get it that often in this country, so we kind of take it where we can. It was an amazing weekend of motorsport, of course, with the 100th Le Mans 24-hour race. I don't know how many people stayed up to watch most of it. I know I can tell you I didn't watch most through the night, but I did watch a very significant amount of that race over the weekend. Pretty much dominated everything I did all weekend, apart from, of course, the little football match It was on Saturday afternoon. So just waiting for the grid to get set now. Mick Astley is back in the room. You have to be set by host, of course, because try sleeping in it. Yeah, I can imagine it's pretty difficult for you, Jay, actually, because you obviously sleep during the day, being that you work at night. So yeah, it must be pretty darn difficult to sleep in it. Many fans. I'll tell you what I do actually. My son bought himself. It's not quite an air conditioner, but you kind of freeze an ice pack and you stick it in it, and it cools the air in the room. And he didn't pay a huge amount for it, so I'll dig out the link and I'll send it to you, because I'm thinking of getting a couple for myself. I just basically strap them in the side of my head. Right, so we have got Mick Astley back in the room. Just waiting for the grid to be set so we can get cracking. I do apologise for the slight delay. I hope you brought snacks, of course. It's going to be a doozy, an absolute doozy of a race. This is the first of 10 rounds for the GT Invitational with eTeamHARD Esports and GTI. Hopefully the beginning of a beautiful partnership between Black Flag Racing TV and eTeamHARD and GTI and all these guys all coming together to kind of create a super sim racing team. So yes, we're just waiting for this grid to be set and then we can get cracking. And I'm looking forward to this actually, because I do like Brands actually. See, it's the sort of racetrack that you can really get some very close racing. Very close racing on this racetrack, and you find that actually sometimes it's just the smallest of mistakes that mean the absolute difference to somebody's race. It's quite difficult to overtake, unless of course someone makes a mistake on the corner, but it is quite difficult to find that area to overtake. There's not really significant straights. Yeah, he said he never let us down, and he did in the first race. Awful, isn't it, Nightfire? Absolutely awful. Yeah, so there's no significant straights here on this track that allow you to kind of build up that momentum with the slipstream. I suppose when you come out 30 and you head down that, or so firstly up and then down that hill towards Hawthorne, you do get a bit of a run down there, but I don't know if you get enough momentum with the slipstream down there, because it's not entirely straight. And you've got quite an uphill section as well, so it is difficult to get that momentum with the slipstream and make those kind of overtakes. So it really is about really putting pressure on the car in front. If you're faster, putting enough pressure on them and almost trying to force an error from whoever is trying to defend from you. Show them the inside, show them the outside, see if you can do something. Maybe in Druids. I think Druids is somewhere you probably can make that little overtake, because what will happen often with Druids, because it's an uphill braking zone, you can brake a lot later than you think, and if someone brakes a little bit too early, just kind of overcooking it on the brakes really, and giving themselves and slowing down a little bit too much, you can go that a little bit later. There is the possibility of doing that kind of switcheroo when you go through Druids, which is it can be a tricky 180 if you get it wrong. And then of course you've got the Graham Hill, and if you get it wrong coming out of Druids, of course you set yourself up completely wrong for Graham Hill, because you need to get drifting over to that right hand side. Paddock Hill Bend as well, that's one that really catches people out, that turn one, because your apex is unsighted as you're coming up. Your apex and almost your braking zone is unsighted as you're coming down that Brabham straight, that you've got that kind of camber to the right, but it also dips away from you very quickly. And the real danger isn't necessarily getting it wrong on the brakes. It's more about getting it wrong with the accelerator. You've got to be patient before you get on the power, and you've got to leave yourself a little bit of room on the left, because you will start to drift out there very quickly when you get on the power. And you see it so often that, particularly if you're chasing someone down, or you yourself are being chased down, you get a little bit jittery with the foot, get that foot down a little bit too early, and find yourself disappearing off into the realm of dust on that left hand side. And when that happens here, it can be a very unforgiving racetrack. So into the race we go, and again, despite me telling them what settings I already wanted, I have to do this all over again. And it is a rolling start. Pagani leads everyone out, one joker. There he is running in second, and as soon as they cross the line, we will be underway. And we are racing here at Brands Hatch. 20 minutes of racing to go, and Pagani leads from one joker. Lee Cole, Mick Astley in fourth. He said he'd never give us up. He disappeared after qualifying and lied to us. The CSDK holding on from Zomlar, though Zomlar having a little look at him through Druids for the first time. Everyone through safely, couple of cars side by side at the back of the pack, but we've made it without any call or cause for concern. And I do like it when we've got close racing like this. And that is lead right in behind the back of that Corvette C7 as they head round 30s for the first time down towards Hawthorne. And he's having a little look around the outside for a possible overtake. Was very quick going through there. Gave a little hurry along to Zomlar in the back and just said, come on, I'm a little bit quicker than you here. Let's have you moving along, or leave me a gap to get through. But Zomlar holding on in that Corvette. Out in the lead of this race, there is Pagani holding on from one joker. That's the dreaded penalty line. You do not want to pick up any penalties here. It costs you loads. Really not very good. Everyone, of course, on the soft compound tyres for this first essentially sprint race, 20-minute sprint race. Pagani leads just over, or just under 1 second, 1:26.8, not bad for a starting lap there. And you can see them going into turn one. Already Pagani and one joker starting just to edge away from the rest of the pack. It's they're separated by 1.1 seconds as one joker just goes purple in sector one. Is he closing that gap on Pagani? There is Lee Cole. Also pulled out 1 second gap, 1.6 behind the leaders. We don't want to see them pulling away as Lee Cole then in sector 2, it looks like, picked up a purple sector. Doesn't want to see those two pulling away too much. It's already 1.7 seconds. You don't really want to see that gap going out to sort of 2, 3, 4 seconds. It starts to make it a very, very difficult prospect of catching them up without relying on errors. Mick Astley made it back in the room. He is currently running in fourth place, 0.8 of a second behind Lee Cole. He's got the Fat Dane CSSDK just behind him. They're both in that Ferrari, and we can see there that Pagani's had a massive problem. Can we find out what happened to him to drop him down that order? Yeah, he absolutely disappeared onto the grass, and you can see just how many places that lost him. That's dropped him down the order into fourth, and he would have picked up some rubbish on those tyres. So that's allowed one joker just to disappear off into the distance as Pagani tucks into fourth, now behind Mick Astley. So one joker now in the lead of this race, 2.4 seconds clear of Lee Cole. Lee Cole still has Mick Astley for company, just a second behind. Pagani slotted into fourth and clearly looking very racy. We know he's quick. He was the pole sitter here, looking for a way through. Does he make that overtake? Yes, he does, and actually makes it look relatively simple as well. We can see here as we go with the chase cam that into Graham Hill, he just he goes for that kind of switcheroo almost, gets a good run down towards Surtees side by side, gets that inside line and is able to make that move and make it stick relatively easily here on lap 3. If you are just joining us, this is the GT Invitational Series, Season 3, Round number 1, brought to you by... And that's all! He's got very, very squirrely there, and we very nearly saw the death of Pagani. How he held on to that, I will never know. That was a phenomenal save, because it looked to me, for all intents and purposes, that Pagani was disappearing into a wall and we'd all be having to send his mum some flowers. But he has managed to rescue that car and keep himself very much in this fight in fourth. So is this the issue of pushing too hard? Sometimes when you particularly when you're quick and you can put in phenomenally good times, you can have that tendency when it goes wrong to overdrive the car, and something went horribly wrong. Well, he's clearly having some internet problems, Mick Astley, because he was behind and then he was ahead again. So hopefully we don't lose him to another disconnection, but maybe he needs to find something a little bit more substantial internet-wise, as Pagani tucked in behind again, trying to make a move on Mick Astley if he can. But he does make the move again, or he's trying to make the move up the inside this time. He does make the move stick, and it looks like Mick Astley is going to be under trouble from the Fat Dane. Look forward for a minute there. He was going to follow Pagani through and take that fourth place from Mick Astley for himself, but he's had to tuck in behind and plan the move later. But Mick Astley having a couple of connection problems, it seems, but also having to struggle with drivers all over the back of him. It can make your race incredibly difficult when you've got drivers on you like that, just constantly haranguing you, pushing you, forcing you to kind of block them off. Right, let's have a full run through. Back of the pack, that is Drox. 3 seconds off the pace at the moment. Lap 3 wasn't a greatest lap for Drox with a 33.4. Clearly went visiting into the grasshopper territory at some stage. Dusty Fossil running in 10th. He's pretty steady in terms of lap times. Low 25, high 24s. 2.6 seconds behind eTeamHARD Bruce Lee, who lost a couple of seconds on that last lap. Is 3.1 seconds behind Night Fire. Also running in those 24 mid 24s to low 25s, and just put in a purple sector there, Nightfire. Lead running in 7th position, 1:24.6, his fastest lap. That's almost 1.4 seconds off One Joker's fastest lap at the moment. He's currently running in 7th. He's just behind Mick Astley, who has lost out now a couple of places. Lost out not only to CSDK, but also to Zomlar. So he's finding himself getting swallowed up now by these drivers behind. And now, is it error, or has it just been very, very clever overtakes? We'll have a look here as he crosses the line. Actually, to be fair, the drivers around him just seem to be that little bit quicker, and they're finding gaps to get the car through. So there is Zombie, did a 24.1, his fastest lap of the race thus far, on lap 5. Is he now going to put some pressure on the Fat Dane CSDK ahead of him, who is currently 8 tenths up the road? Pagani back up into the top 3. Got some work to do to catch up to One Joker. He is 4.9 seconds off the lead of this race at the moment. Not too far back from Lee Cole, and certainly looks to be closing in on the back of Lee Cole there. Hopefully looking for a way through, and you can see there just how close he is now. And under braking, usually what you see with into the braking zones, you'll see the cars getting a little bit closer and then pulling away as they exit. But you can see there that he's braking later, getting on the power that little bit earlier. It's fractions of a second, but it's making all the difference. And that gap you can see just slowly trickling down as they come into complete lap 6 here. As we reach 8 minutes in, so we're probably looking at about 14, 15 laps maybe, if my math serves me well. How long can Lee Cole hold on? It's 4.16 to One Joker. One Joker's had that advantage after Pagani made a mistake. Pagani up the inside of Druids, makes that move stick. That was a very good overtake, and I said that's exactly what you could do at Druids, but gets it all kinds of wrong into Graham Hill, and yes, all kinds of wrong there. So you can see this great move through Druids, gets the overtake done, gets on the power, takes that second position, but just a little bit wrong with the brakes there, and gets it all kinds of wrong, and then off the racetrack it goes, and has to do that work all over again. They're getting now 3.4 seconds. So he does have the fastest lap of the race, 1:22.5, clearly got the pace. But anyone that's watched me on a regular basis, I've talked about this before. What's quite important, I mean, it's important to be fast when you're racing, of course it is, but actually consistency counts for a hell of a lot more. If you look at, let's take like Pagani for instance, he did a 1:22.5, which is easily 7 tenths quicker than the fastest lap One Joker's done out in the lead. But if you look at One Joker's lap times, they are ranging from 23.2, 23.9. There's a 22.4. That's a pretty quick lap actually. So yeah, 1:22.4. Don't know why that didn't come out as the fastest lap of the race. Surely that should have been. Maybe he had made a mistake or something. I don't know. Let's have a look if it changes that. Don't know. Oh, sorry, it's 1:23.1. No one can explain to me how PD comes up with these crazy numbers. That's why it didn't come as fast as lap, because it wasn't. But you can see there the incredible consistency from him. He hasn't dropped out of the 23s at any stage of this race. So yeah, it's great to have that 1 lap pace and to be able to do, go half a second faster over 1 lap than anybody else. But if you can't do that on a consistent basis, then what you're better off doing is just scrubbing off, half a second of that pace, and ensuring you don't go off the racetrack. And then you'll find that you're going to be in the position that One Joker's in now, where you're able to just churn out consistent, very consistent lap after lap times, and put yourself in a really good position. What Pagani's been doing, to his detriment at the moment, super quick without a shadow of a doubt, but hasn't been able to maintain any sort of rhythm of the pace. With a 22.5, it's a phenomenal lap time, and it's clear that over 1 lap Pagani is certainly the one of the drivers to look out for. But Lee Cole, again, similar to One Joker, been very consistent. High 23s, low to mid 24s on a very consistent basis, not making those errors, not overdriving the car. And with the tyres as well, you can see the difference. Well, certainly I can see the difference, you can't. But I can see the difference between Lee Cole has been very frugal with those tyres on that Corvette. Now the Corvette can be very good at looking after the tyres, we know this, and the setup that they put on the car will certainly help to that end. But this is where it's going to make a difference, because at some stage people are going to start to go into the pit stops and change out their tyres. Now if you can run that little bit longer, or even, I wouldn't be surprised actually if Lee Cole doesn't need to pit at all for tyres. In all honesty, I'm looking at the tyres. I don't think anyone's 100% going to have to pit, but I think it's going to be incredibly squeaky bum time towards the end of this race once the rubber's gone and the grip is gone, and almost seeing a very sideways Mick Astley nearly let us down there, but he didn't run around and desert us. He's stayed with us. So One Joker is your race leader. He's 5.6 seconds clear of Lee Cole, who is maintaining the 8/10 gap to our pole sitter Pagani, who's just been a little bit error prone, although it does seem to have found now a little bit of a rhythm. His Royal Highness Zomlar the Bomlar, I don't know what it's Zomlar the something, I didn't actually look it up. 5.6 seconds back outside that top 3. It's got a 1 second gap back to Mick Astley, who's just trying to find a couple of tenths here and there to close that gap. Lead settled into 6th place. He's 1.6 seconds behind Mick Astley at the moment, holding off Nightfire, who's just he was 8 tenths behind, but something happened there and opened that gap up a little bit, out to 1 second. 7 seconds back to Dusty Fossil, who's got a bit of, got a bit of trouble there. He's got Omar Bruce Lee tucked in behind him and trying to find a way through in that Aston Martin. 7.5 seconds to Drox, running in 10th, and the Fat Dane's not having a great time of it back there in 11th. Whatever happened to him, well, I'm having a look here, and you can see on lap 8 it went all kinds of wrong for him. Actually lap 6 it went all kinds of wrong, and then again on lap 8 lost nearly 20 seconds on both laps 5 and lap 8. He's now finds himself 47 seconds off the lead and 15.9 adrift of the rest of the pack. One Joker actually, if this pace continues as it is, One Joker could very well be catching the back of the pack very shortly. But I have a feeling One Joker's going to need to come in and change out those tyres, Now obviously the left-hand tyres are the ones that are going to struggle. His sorry, I was having a drink of water. His rear right is looking incredibly ropey. Yeah, I have a feeling he might need to change out those tyres. Now, Pagani has got himself back into second. Has started to find some consistency without the little errors. If he can now nail that consistency down, this race is not by any means done, because he's just put in another fastest sector. He's currently got the fastest lap of the race, and he just seems to be getting quicker and quicker and quicker. So here, it's all about just eking out those little errors that cost him to leave the race in the first place, and now closing down on one joker. But like one joker, and that's a 22.0. That's a qualifying lap time here under race conditions. I know, I said it and I said it again. Pushing too hard, and he goes wide into turn one, and again loses second place to Lee Cole. It's an never-ending story. It seems to be history just repeating itself. But look, the thing is, when you're driving at this kind of level, you're always going to have the idea is to have the car always on the raggedy edge of crashing, but to be able to keep the car out of the wall or out of the grass or out of the sand and stuff. And I apologise for that screaming upstairs. My daughter is being a bit of an idiot right now. But yeah, so it's about pushing the car to its very limit, but not past it. And you know, we saw at Le Mans how easy it is for even the most professional drivers to get it wrong when you're racing at that high level and pushing your car to the very limits. So Pagani back in third. 3 seconds is the gap to Zomlar. Zomlar got themselves up to fourth and tried to capitalise, hopefully, on those errors that Pagani has. Now, remember, I told you that the tyres are looking very different between those front runners and Lee Cole. Now, if one joker makes it to the end of this race, I will eat my spare microphone in the drawer, because that rear tyre is looking absolutely disgusting. And I tell you what, I'm not going to eat the microphone, because it's very possibly that one joker is absolutely amazing at driving on tyres that have no right to keep you on the road. But I will be very surprised, and I will give him a round of applause, just by slapping my sweaty body fat against my legs or something. 2.6 seconds is the gap to Pagani. Can Pagani find some extra pace now to get back on the back of Lee Cole? Lee Cole's tyres looking brilliant, and could actually put a little bit more pressure through those tyres, maybe. So that's the thing. This is where the gap to one joker down to 2.9 seconds. And if those tyres start to give out on Joker, then Lee Cole can find themselves actually challenging for the win here. But you know, let's not count out Pagani, because we know Pagani can chuck in some very, very good laps. But what about Zomlar's? I mean, Zomlar's 4.7 seconds back. Let's say, for argument's sake, the Joker and Pagani do go all the way and their tyres give out on them. Zomlar could very easily find themselves not only in the top three, but possibly on the second step of the podium. It's certainly not done and dusted at this stage, and there's a lot of points to be had as well. There is lead running in, not the lead, he's running in fifth. 3.1 seconds behind Zomlar, but comfortably three. It's what I like to call a kind of the poor perfect storm. The gap behind and the gap in front is pretty much the same, and you're not really being troubled, nor are you troubling, which means you can just get on with your consistent laps and doing what you need to do to keep that car just chugging around that racetrack. You don't have to worry about defending. You haven't got necessarily a car to attack, so you really just kind of just chuck in the lap times and hope that something ahead of you goes horribly wrong. Although now that gap is opening up to fourth, but closing to Mick Astley, who is only 2.2 seconds now behind lead, running in sixth position. At the back of the pack, we still have CSDK, who had some significant off-track moments, lap 6 and lap 8. Looks to have not had a great lap 13 either, and is 17.9 seconds adrift from Night Fire. Fastest lap for Night Fire was at 23.7, so not hugely off that midfield pace, but has had a couple of offs himself, particularly lap 10 wasn't a great lap in Nightfire's race. 3.6 seconds up to Bruce Lee. I'm hard, Bruce Lee. He's 32 seconds behind the leader in Aston Martin, and that's Mick Astley just finishing the race actually. So we did actually make it to the end on those tyres without too much of a problem. Dusty Fossil finishing in 6th, Mick Astley in 7th, Drox in 8th. So here comes Pagani. He's on his final lap. So basically everyone to lead made it to the final lap. And 18 seconds of drift will be CSDK in 11th. So this is the final lap of the race. Tyres looking pretty ropey for Pagani as we have that end of race countdown, but nobody's going to fall foul to that. There is your race leader, Pagani. One Joker. I don't know what happened to One Joker. The tyres gave out. You can see there the tyres are gone. Finished. I said that was going to be a problem. Pagani let theirs hold on. One Joker, tyres went. Zomlar's through. Lee Cole is through. Who Zomlar was looking pretty racing all the way through. Lead is through. One Joker is going to take 5th place. Now, probably undeservedly, but those tyres were gone and didn't hold on to the end of the race. But Pagani crosses the line, takes the win. Zomlar will come home in 2nd. Lee Cole, disappointingly actually, in 3rd. I thought they might take 2nd place. Lead up into 4th. And One Joker does get those tyres home eventually, but they were gone. And finishes in 5th place. So bye-bye tyres, man. Bye-bye tyres. One of those things, eh? One of those things. So there we go. Congratulations to Pagani. Despite the fact Pagani had several offs, his tyres just held out long enough to get him back into the lead here. So ignore what I said about consistency. Clearly it doesn't matter when you're as quick as Pagani. There we go. Done and dusty. Race number 1 is over. We'll take the top 3. We will flip them around. We'll stick them at the back of the pack. We'll then take everybody else and we'll find out who was quick, who was slow, and where did everybody go. And then we'll slot them all in and we'll find a place for them on the grid. And then we'll do our feature race this evening, which will be 40 minutes of racing in about 5 minutes time. So in the interim, I want to talk about this. Black Flag are doing a mini challenge which starts actually tomorrow, and you can watch it here on Black Flag Racing TV. It is an awesome little competition devised by our very own Stormfly. It's a tuned mini-series, but you have the tuning provided for you. The minis are tuned to perfection, and it's 3 15-minute races on short tracks. The way it works is very simple. The first race is done, standard qualifying, standard race, 15 minutes. The top 3 then put on ECU restrictions. And then we do 2 more races with those ECU restrictions in place, which will be a reverse grid times 2 essentially. And it really does keep the racing very close. I can attest to this. As anyone who's ever raced with me knows, I am incredibly slow in every single race I ever do. But I actually led for quite some time. We did a test event at Laguna Seca last week, and I led for a lot of the race. And then obviously my lack of skill became quite evident later on, and I finished, I think, 4th or 5th down the order. But it does allow for some very close racing, and the faster guy, with the ECU restriction, it really does make it quite a job for those quicker guys to kind of stay in the mix out in front. So if you're interested, you've got 1 more day left to sign up. If you can find us on Sim League Pro, that's where you get all signed up. Or if you really want to, you can drop me a message and thingy and whatever. Anyway, that starts this week, tomorrow, Tuesday. Do not miss it. It is going to be epic. There we go. But we're here for something very different. Brands Hatch GP. It's been this shape since 2003. It is 3.9 kilometres, 2.4 miles of racetrack, just the 9 corners. The racetrack record held by Adam Carroll with a 112.2. I don't know what car that was in, but that's a pretty darn quick one, I can tell you that. This is season 3, round number 1. We had 10 minutes of qualifying. We've just had race number 1. which was 20 minutes. That was won by Pagani, who just seemed to find crazy amounts of pace, even in the face of 4 off-track incidents in that race. Seemed to just find the pace consistently to get to close the gap. So despite the offs, and you have to wonder just how far ahead they might have been had they not come off the track quite so much. It did look like Joker's race to lose, and it was the tyres in the end giving out for Joker that just ensured that he not only lost the lead of the race, but actually finished in 5th place. Lee Cole held on his second for so long, only occasionally being challenged by Pagani when Pagani wasn't cutting some grass, but couldn't hold off in the end and ended up finishing, I think, the 3rd place. I think it was Lee Cole. Mick Hasser, it was lead that got himself into that top 4, and then of course 5th was one Joker with tyres that had no right to still be on a racetrack. So the grid is being set now for the next race, 40 minutes of racing we've got ahead of us in this really, really awesome competition, and we'll catch up with you very shortly. Right, so everything's getting set, ready to go. Room settings have been changed. 40 minutes of racing going to be ahead of us. Pagani, one Joker, Pagani, one Joker, and Lee Cole. Not one Joker, I lied. Pagani, Lee Cole, and Zomla will be at the back of the pack, as they were your top 3. Everybody else will be set based on their lap times behind, in front of them. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly those quicker guys, particularly, well, look, we know how quick Pagani is. He's demonstrated his pace around here very, very early doors. How quickly can those guys make it through the field? It's a difficult racetrack to do that at the best of times. But they're going to have to contend with a lot of cars in front of them. And that's where there is potential for shenanigans, particularly when you go through some of the trickier corners like turn 1. And we see cars go off there, we see cars go off turn 4, turn 5, particularly down that, turn 5, turn 6, once they get into the kind of woody bit of the racetrack. Not that it's wooden, it's obviously it's tarmac, but it's surrounded by lots of woods. More sustenance on board while the lobby's being set. I'm gonna have to prepare some sort of like half-time show, I think, for in between while they sort out these lobbies in between. I'll see if I'll give Beyonce a call. If she can't make it, then maybe I'll sing Single Ladies for you. I'm only joking. I'm not going to sing Single Ladies for you ever. It's not going to happen. I was then going to say, no, I'm not going to tell you what I was going to say in case anyone holds me to it. I'm not betting people anything on sim racing anymore, having lost several in a couple of F1 series. Still looking to see what the other guy with. It's a longer race now. They're going to have to pit this time. There's no way. Particularly Joker. Joker can't take. Well, I think he might even struggle to take it half distance on those soft compound tyres. There are medium tyres, of course, available. Whether the medium tyres can go to the end, that for me is very debatable. It's quite intensive, particularly on the right, the left rear tyre around here, which you find most of them clockwise surface anyway. And interestingly, most you may or may not know this, most circuits are actually clockwise. Can anyone name me one that isn't? Um, I've got one to mind at the moment. Brazil, Interlagos. That is no, that's clockwise, isn't it? It is a clockwise circuit. I'm trying to think of an anti-clockwise circuit. There are a couple. Monza. Monza's anti-clockwise. No, Monza's clockwise. Brazil is anti-clockwise. Yes, Brazil is anti-clockwise. So Brazil, yeah, Interlagos is an anti-clockwise circuit. I don't know why I doubted myself on that. I was right the first time. But most racetracks are actually clockwise. I don't. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. I have no idea what that reason is, but I'm sure there is a reason behind it. Equally, I'm sure that Baku, that's another anti-clockwise circuit. I'm going over circuits in my head now, trying to think what else is anti-clockwise, because there isn't many. Zandvoort's clockwise. Is it? Is Zandvoort anti-clockwise? No. Daytona Road, that's anti-clockwise. Actually, maybe there's more than I thought there was. No, it's not. Is it anti-clockwise? It is anti-clockwise, yeah, it is. It is anti-clockwise. Yeah, definitely anti-clockwise. But yeah, actually, there's more than I thought there were. Maybe I'm wrong. So, come on. Are we set and ready to go? This grid being set for race number 2. As you said, the top 3 will be at the back of the grid, switcherooed round. Everybody else will be set in terms of their pace on the grid. I don't know how happy I am about being based on one lap. You may or may not know, I did the broadcast for GT Champions, and the grid was set each week based on lap time, like the fastest lap you did the week before. And I don't know how comfortable I am with that with deciding a track position, because you can have one absolutely purple lap and be much higher at the grid, but conversely, you could have had a particularly bad race or a particularly bad lap or a particularly bad session, and it's not representative of your pace, and you might be excessively punished based on I don't know. Obviously, I suppose you do it. I suppose qualifying time is essentially just picking the fastest lap. But I think when it comes down to picking it from a race, there's so many other factors within a race that can affect your lap time that you wouldn't necessarily have affected if you were doing qualifying, for instance. Because obviously in qualifying you aren't trying to overtake each other and muscle each other out of the way. You're essentially trying to find a bit of space on the racetrack. Whereas in a race scenario, you are side by side, and you are absolutely going for it. But that's neither here nor there. We are ready, willing, and hopefully able to go to the racetrack for race number 2. And again, why do I have to keep doing this? Of course, it's rolling start yet again. So Nightfire on pole position with Joker just behind. I can tell you that Nightfire is on the medium compound tyres, as is Joker. The Fat Day, depending if Plum last, also on the mediums as we are away. Rick Astley? He's not Rick, he's Mick. What happened there? Who went off? Was that a little bit of a crash somewhere? I'll have a little look and see if we can find and pick apart what happened here. It looks to me, yeah, so up ahead there, that is the I can't copy it apart. That's Joker. So yeah, Joker having a massive off ahead of Fat Dane. So a few cars off on turn 1, and we reset the lobby to go again. Was that a red flag incident? Was there a significant crash there? I didn't see anything that suggests that one car hit another, but it's very possible. It's a very tricky turn 1 here. Very tricky turn 1. So Mick Astley is back with. Who have we lost? So Joker's in. CSSDK, Nightfire's their lead. Dusty Fossil, Bruce Lee is there. Drox has returned. Lee Cole has just returned as well. Mick Astley just waiting for him to check in. And then we're going to reset and start again, which is what you do when it all goes horribly, horribly wrong. So there we go, restart done. It was very difficult to pick apart what happened there, but certainly we lost Joker into the gravel. We also saw CSSDK in the gravel. But was that because of a restart being called, or was that restart called because of that incident? That's the big hunker burning question. So there we go. Anyway, just waiting for, yeah, it is, I don't know if that message is for me. It's not us, it's GT7. Often that is the case. I have noticed, actually, I mean, this lobby is mainly Brits, one Portuguese, one Dane. So you generally don't have too many lobby problems. When you go kind of cross-Atlantic and you have lobbies with, you know, American, Australian, Japanese, British, then you tend to get one or two little niggles can pop out during the lobby. And I don't know whether, you know, in this day and age, I mean, technology is not that far behind that you should have problems with that at this day and age. But I think it's also down to, you know, internet connections in different countries are vastly different in terms of speeds. Some are much better than others. I suppose it is what it is, isn't it? A lot of people blame the PD lobbies, but the way this works is there is a little bit of aspect of it is down to PD and the quality of the lobbies, etc. But it's, you know, it's very much a kind of peer-to-peer thing, and you all have to. Your lobby is only as strong as the weakest member, essentially. So we are going to go again. Hopefully this time, yes, a Michael Massey shit going on here. Yeah, very well. Say very well said. I don't know. It all went a little bit tits up, didn't it? But isn't that motor racing? Motor racing is just essentially a lot of people going very fast and then things going horribly, horribly wrong. Right, so we go again with a similar looking, no, it's not quite similar looking. So Joker now on pole this time. We didn't reset. Are we going to reset the lobby to do the correct pole? Probably not. So Joker is through safely. Anyone going in the gravel? No. Everyone looks to be alive this time through turn one. As we go through Druids, that's a great shot of the cars going through Druids. I'm on Bruce Lee in 7th in that gorgeous Aramco Aston Martin in British Racing Green, of course. And what better is there than British Racing Green at a great British racetrack? So, what's Joker going to do this time? Can Joker pick up the points that arguably were very much deserved for a win in race number one? The tyres just quitting on them towards the tail end of that race, costing them down to, causing them to go to 5th place. We want to look at Pagani. Pagani, despite some offs, was incredibly quick and about to make a first overtake past Zomlar up into 10th position. Now, anyone running soft tyres, Zomlar is on the softs, Lee Cole running softs, Imar Bruce Lee is, Drox is, Dusty Fossil is on softs, as is Lead as well, and Mick Astley. Everyone else running on the medium compound tyres. So end of lap one Joker lead from CSDK. Fat Payne, as he's otherwise known, in the Ferrari 458. Mick Astley holding on in 3rd. And when I say holding on, it's more than holding on, because he's currently giving a little bit of a challenge for 2nd place at the moment, as Lead sticking with him. And those top 4 now just putting away a little gap from the chasing pack. And that is, who is that facing the wrong way? That is CSDK facing in all kinds of the wrong direction. And we can see here what happened. We'll go on board actually. So through Graham Hill, gets on the grass and backwards facing the wrong way he goes. You can't park that there, mate. It does get it turned around eventually, but not before he loses several positions and is at the back of the pack. And it's lucky we don't have driver earpieces, because I can imagine there'd be some incredibly choice words, probably in Danish, coming out of his mouth right about now. After that, because he's now 5.5 seconds back. But look, it's a 40-minute race. We've got many laps to go. Always an opportunity. One Joker still leads, if I say still leads, is fastest man on the track. 1:25.1 on those medium compound tyres, and a gap of 1.7 seconds to a lead. He's got himself up into second. Mick Astley, half a second back in that Ferrari 458, trying to find a way through. Dusty Fossil in fourth now, is 1.4 seconds back. That front four, who at this point last lap were pulling away, is now a front three. But the gap is only 1.5 seconds to Dusty Fossil, running in fourth position. Drox. There is Drox also in that good-looking Fezzer. Portuguese driver has Lee Cole just 0.6 of a second behind, vying for position. And it didn't look like there. Pagani is on a charge. Pagani already up to 7th position. Has got, was at the very start of the back of the pack. He's already getting the Audi R8 fired up and moving forward through the drivers. Through the cars, through the pack. Word I'm looking for. Lee currently with the fast snap at the 1:25.1, but don't be surprised if Pagani snatches that crown from his head at the end of this lap, because he is on a big charge. The gap to Lee Cole, 0.8 of a second. How long does Pagani have to sit in that midfield? Is he going to be able to push his way through? Zomlar currently running in 9th place in the Sneak Energy car. Making a move around. Who was that? Was that Drox? Drox getting all kinds wrong. Can we see what happened to Drox to cause him to come off the racetrack there? You see Drox there, yeah, gets it wrong into turn 1, and has to wait for that gaggle of cars to get through and find their way forward. Down into 9th place. Back of the pack is, where's he gone? It's Nightfire. Nightfire way at the back of the pack. So something happened to Nightfire on lap 3 to allow CSDK, who had their little wobble on lap 2, to not only get ahead, but 19.5 seconds ahead of Nightfire. So whatever went wrong for Nightfire went very wrong. 2.6 seconds behind Drops is the Fat Dane at the moment. There is your race leader. He's now 2.6 seconds clear. Fastest lap thus far, 1:24.0. Fastest lap in race number 1 was at 22.0. So don't read too much into that. He's on medium tyres. So it looks like the medium tyres are essentially 2 seconds a lap slower than the softs. But of course, we know the softs aren't going to go to the end. We know the mediums aren't going to go to the end either. But they're going to certainly take you longer into this race than the soft compound tyres will. Excuse me. There is eTeamHARD very own lead. Although he's not in the lead, he is chasing down the leader, who's 2.8 seconds up the road. He's 3.5 seconds now ahead of Lee Cole. So that battle, which had Mick Astley in it, Mick Astley now, oh, that's unfortunate time to flick across. Some people would call it commentator's curse. Others would say that I have the foresight. Mick Astley, so that is the second of a couple of spins, because was running in third, but not anymore. Now has Drox, who's just been already for company. So few cars disappearing off the racetrack here. Nightfire's had a problem. We've seen Drox have a problem. Mick Astley, we've just seen, had a problem. CSSDK, or Fat Dane, however you want to do it, they also had an off, which is why they're 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. So it looks like, if you have an off now, those cars are going to get back past you, and the odds of them having another one are reduced. As we come round to complete lap 5 here at Brands Hatch. If you are just joining us, I'm Urban Pirate, this is Black Flag Racing TV. TV, and we're bringing you live coverage of Season 3 of the GT Invitational with eTeamHARD.com eSports, and of course GT Invitational themselves. This is the opening round of Season 3 here at Brands Hatch. This is no longer a team-based competition. It is every man or woman or dog or child for themselves, with a little interesting twist with the qualifying. 20-minute race, 20-minute sprint race, which is set from a qualifying grid. Then take the top 3 and we stick them at the back and we say, go on then, can you overtake everybody and win this race? And thus far, that question is being answered quite comfortably by Pagani. Pagani was your pole sitter for race number 1, despite having a few little shenanigans, shall we say, with the grass and with some trees and with a bit of gravel in that sprint race. Still managed to bring that Audi R8 home for the win in that first race. Is now already here on lap 6, up to 4th place. One joker one joker with the fastest lap, as lead, currently running in 2nd, decides actually that fastest lap is for me with a 1:24.0. But running on those soft compound tyres, it's only a matter of time before lead is going to have to dive in to the pits and change them out. Race number 1 was just soft tyres only. This race number 2 is mediums or softs. I don't think there is a specific mandatory tyre requirement. I think it's use what you like. Because it said medium or soft, not medium and soft. So, yeah. Let's go with you can use what tyre you like. Keep hydrated, people. Don't want to lose my voice again. I've lost it twice this year and it's not a pretty sight. I basically sound, I basically sound like a squeaky mouse. Okay, so let's have a full rundown, shall we, of where we're at. One joker has got themselves into the lead of this race and is, I say got themselves, they started at front and back, and they've opened up a nice, comfortable, almost 4-second gap in the lead, but really taking chunks out of those medium compound tyres. Joker, of course, will not want a repeat of race number 1, where the tyres gave out and they lost the lead to finish in 5th. So, first to blink is Dusty Fossil, diving into the pits, probably a little earlier than they need to, but this could be a tactical switcheroo. Lead, fastest man on the racetrack until Pagani decided to peel over those strawberries and put in a 23.9. Running in 2nd, the gap to One Joker is still 4 seconds, but you know, there's a bit of an advantage over Lee Cole with 1.4 second advantage for them. So I was struggling to see the times there. My hay fever today has been absolutely terrible. I did take tablets this morning, and I was wearing basically safety glasses all day. They're kind of like so, they're tinted, but basically safety glasses because they wrap around better. So I'm probably getting my eye. It hasn't helped, and genuinely I look like I've been punched in the face. No one would have been punched because I've been crying. By a small child, and I was a small man, and I have to kind of lean my neck in an old man kind of way to see when I'm I am an old man. So One Joker jumping into the pits. That promotes lead up into the lead of this race. Lee Cole in 2nd, Pagani stays out in the 3rd. We're going to see all of them diving into the pits pretty soon. It's going to be a 20-minute race. It's not. It's going to be a 40-minute endurance race here at Brands Hatch. So it is going to be about planning your tactics well. You don't want to spend too much time in the pits. You want to be out of track as long as possible, but you want to obviously maximise the pace you can do with the tyres and fuel that you have. Pagani getting all kinds of squirrely, but does keep it on the racetrack, running in 3rd now. Zomlar 6.4 seconds back in 4th place, and despite that big off in the opening lap, or opening hot lap anyway, lap 2, CSDK finds itself back up into the top 5. Joker tucking in just behind after that pit stop. Medium tyres on again for them, with a little splashy of fuel. Not all the way to the top, just enough to get them around to the next pit stop. Dusty Fossil up to 7th position, 20 seconds back from Joker. Just behind there is there is Nightfire, just behind it all. So top 3 all in. What about Zomlar? What's Zomlar going to do? Is Zomlar going to stay out? Zomlar is staying out. So Zomlar will be your new race leader. Of course, de facto leader will be Joker because Zomlar's still to pit. So Nightfire running in 8th place and 5.7 seconds back is Drox in that Ferrari. Had not had a great race thus far. We saw them go off on lap 4, struggled a little bit there. And it looks like they've had problems on lap 6 and lap 7 as well. And that's not allowed them to do what CSDK has been able to do, which is kind of force their way forward after their accident. Mick Astley is back in 9th. He's been in the pits though, of course. So we'll make up a couple of positions when the last remnants of the pitters go in. Nightfire. Fastest lap was a 1:24.8. Nightfire still to pits, of course. And Ibar Bruce has been in and should, without question, will close that 7.2 second gap on the Nightfire when Nightfire finally decides it's time to bring the car in for its 10-lap service. De facto leader at the moment, that is Zomlar. He won't be leader for very long though. Has decided to stay out yet again and do another lap. I tell you what, those soft tyres that Zomlar has been smashing around in that Corvette have really held out well, especially when you consider that most of the half the drivers behind him would be a more accurate than so. Went in earlier, but on medium compound tyres, only to come back out on mediums as well. So that's a phenomenal job on those soft compound tyres for Zomlar. Zomlar actually just did their fastest lap of the race with a 1:24.7. I do apologise for that yawn. It came from absolutely nowhere and it's incredibly rude of me to share it with you. But if I've started some kind of YouTube yawn fest, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? It's 100,000. Is that 100,000? Like 100,000 people are ever going to watch this. Let's be really honest. Let's say over the course of next week, 100 people watch it and we make them yawn. That's pretty cool, right? I think so. And generally, I don't care what other people think because that's how I roll. Of course I do. Of course I care what you think. Just not what you think about me. Right, anyway, Zomlar. It's got to be coming in now, surely. Nope. Zomlar likes the feeling of leading the race and is staying out for one more. 2 more? How many more? One Joker will eventually, if Zomlar ever decides to come in, of course, will eventually retake the lead of this race. And the gap to Lee Cole, who's now in 3rd, is 6.8 Great British seconds. Who was that? Was that Pagani? That is Pagani. Pagani on the charge is just behind Lee Cole. Are they looking for a way through? They pit on lap 9. Lap 9 here must have been because that's the really expensive one time-wise. Just going purple, tucked in there behind Lee Cole is Pagani. Desperately wants to get into the top 2. Would currently be running 3rd once Zomlar finally does decide it's time to go and get some fresh stuff. So yeah, at the moment running in 3rd from plumb last. Lead is currently running in 5th and will be 4th soon. 7.5 seconds again. In that kind of perfect storm. 7.7 one side, 7.4 the other. Can just go about their business uninterrupted. CSDK, and there Zomlar finally goes into the pits. And that, what a time to catch that. CSDK, that's very, very nearly an unsafe return to track. I think just noticed lastminute.com and didn't go ploughing into Dusty Fossil, who's now up into 6th position. Is it enough to relegate Zomlar back another position? Certainly looks like it, or does it? It is, yeah. Zomlar actually dropping down to 7th. Comes out behind Dusty and CSDK. So after all those juicy pit stops, with Drox being the final one in, it will be Drox at the back of the pack. Nightfire, you'll see here, will come through and move up into 10th position. Right about now, there we go. Nightfire into 10th. The gap to eTeamHARD Bruce Lee, that's 9.2 seconds. So a bit of work to do still, and actually that 9.2 seconds, how quickly is that going to get smaller? Because they got it all kinds of wrong. Let's have a little look, see what happened to Mick Astley. So that is who? Well, that's actually a coming together between Mick Astley and the Mick Aston Martin that belongs to our, is it eTeamHARD Bruce Lee and the Aston Martin? It's, oh yes it is. So coming together between those two into Druids, that might be looked at by the stewards later on. Not for me to give my judgment. I only caught the tail end of it, so that don't really happen yet. The only way you can really make a judgment is actually to watch it from the replays of both drivers' perspectives, because there have been some netcode issues with the servers where it looks like on one screen someone's crashed into somebody and another screen nowhere near them. There's been a couple of those over the course of the last couple of months that I've noticed anyway. So Mick Astley losing out to eTeamHARD Bruce Lee. CSDK, who is up to 7th now in the draft of Zomlar. Are they able to put some pressure on Zomlar? I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Sounds cool like that. So, where's your leader? Excuse me. There's leader. One Joker. One Joker, one Love, one car, and much more than 1 second clear. 1:23, 7:72 is the time there. Yes, it is indeed. Just getting a little bit wrong there. You can see here, sets the fastest lap across that line, and then heads down into turn 1 and just gets a little bit wrong. Has to back off the gas and get the car back up and running and onto the racetrack. But he's still leading the race, although that gap significantly smaller now. At the back end, squirming around like an eel on the end of a fishing rod. So Lee Cole now in second with the fastest lap at a 23.5 on soft compound tyres, putting pressure on Joker. And not to be outdone, there in third, that is Pagani. Making the move on One Joker. One Joker getting it wrong again. You can see here, One Joker gets this wrong again. And capitalised on by these drivers. You can see here, just getting a little bit wrong onto that gravel. That allows both Lee Cole and Pagani through. And we return back to the race to see Pagani in that slipstream of Lee Cole, heading down to turn 1 at the start of lap 16. We're at the halfway point. One Joker into the pits, getting rid of those medium compound tyres. Not a great stint for One Joker, this one. Much better in stint number 1. But stint number 2 just didn't really feel all that dialed in. A couple of little errors, and the thing is, once you make one mistake, it's easy to make another and another and another, because you're kind of trying to correct that mistake by pushing. Pagani not able at the moment to get past Lee Cole, who's currently the fastest man on the racetrack. But it's a good little battle going on between these two. You can see it from this perspective. I mean, this is how long do you want to have to sustain seeing that in your mirror, seeing yourself being charged down by another car? It's so difficult because you're your focus isn't just on your lines. Your focus is on, you know, making sure you're defending those apexes, making sure you're getting in the braking zone and braking as late as possible, so the car behind you can't catch you with that kind of old last of the late breakers scenario and diving inside or diving outside and making the move. But it looks at the moment like Pagani is just showing a little bit more pace and going for the move now. Does it happen? Not this time. Has to tuck in behind, but certainly up the inside and looking to make a move there. Now up the inside into turn one. That's a brave place to be trying it. Little touchy into Druid. Is the move going to happen this time? This is Lee Cole trying desperately to hold Pagani at bay, but Pagani is all over the back of Lee Cole at the moment, and really much closer than you would like a stranger to be without buying you some dinner, in all fairness. This is the view from Pagani's car, looking in the cockpit. It's all the back end of Lee Cole right there. That's all that he can see. And they are coming up, I believe, to lap who? That's Drops, who's getting all kinds of wrong. Well, to be fair, I think he was actually just moving the other way because he was being lapped. I'm quite outspoken. I'm all for the drivers being allowed getting out of the way, particularly in Fairfax, as close as this. But I don't think that you should have to leave the racetrack to do it. I think it's kind of it's your responsibility to move, but I think it's also the responsibility of the driver catching it. They know they're quicker. They've got the radar. They've got the information. They know they're quicker. For them to think about when they're going to catch you and how best to approach that. I mean, if you're on comms, it's much easier to just say I'm going left or I'm going right, and job done. But yeah, I mean, you have to take some responsibility. As the move from Pagani up the inside, does this stick this time? There is Lee Cole. Lee Cole is behind, and this move has got done. So here we go. You can see here into Druid's got that inside line and just hugs that apex all the way through, but still able to get on the power and just pull away from Lee Cole. Pagani up into second position, which is a phenomenal run. So it's not in second position, he's lying. I'm lying, he's up to the lead, of course, because one Joker had a problem. So Pagani actually now leads this race with Lee Cole in second, lead in, I was going to say in 16th, he's not, he's in third, he's on the podium, but he's 16.8 seconds back from those two FTRL drivers. Well, I don't know what the FTRL stands for, but I imagine one of them is a rude word, and there's racing in there, and maybe a foreign word for quick. Who knows? Could be fast train racing league, fast tank racing league. We haven't seen Nightfire for a while. What's Nightfire up to? Nightfire currently running in 8th place. Has got Imar Bruce Lee behind us. Lead dives into the pits from 3rd position. Imar Bruce Lee just behind Nightfire at the moment. This is the view from the back of Nightfire's car. You can see there being hunted down. It's not a comfortable place to be. Button, that's the one I wanted. That's the one I wanted. It's probably being a race director, and I'll tell you, you miss all of the buttons. You know what? I haven't busted out my soundbox though. Why have I not busted out my soundbox? If someone explains to me why that is, because usually on the other side, I've knocked out at least one Rex Thunberg. Something like. Right. There's your race leader into the pits from the lead. There's Lee Cole. There is one Joker. One Joker will now regain the lead of this race. Well, maybe, but far back actually, 28 seconds. might not be close enough actually. It just goes to show how different strategies and pitting in different ways, combined with pace and race strategy, can really make a massive difference to your finishing position. That if you can get the pit strategy perfect, then you can actually make a couple of mistakes here and there, and still leave yourself a good opportunity to make an undercut or an overcut on the cars around you. Her Royal Highness, or His Royal Highness Zomlar, in the Sneak Energy car, running in 4th position, 3.5 seconds back. Lee Cole did come out ahead of Pagani, but puts on less fuel. There will need to be one more stop before the end of this race for both those cars. The question here is how much fuel's got Lee Cole going to put on? And I can tell you the answer to that question is going to be more than Pagani. And that means that they're going to have to spend longer in pits to get that extra fuel. So they desperately now are going to want to use that weight advantage that they've got by having less fuel on board, and the combination of their soft compound tyres, although Pagani behind on the mediums, to try and open up a bit of a gap. That's got to be paramount importance at this stage. If Lee Cole can do that, might be able to negate that loss for being in the pits, which is going to be well, I was trying to work out the numbers, but it'll be a few seconds longer. There's the Fat Dane in the pits. This might possibly be their final stop. Or lap 20. Oh no, it won't be. It might be. Lap 20, coming up to the 30-minute mark, which leaves us with just 10 minutes of the race. I think they're going to will leave us just 10 minutes of this race remaining. Nightfire also into the pits. So the current rundown looks a little bit like this. Lee Cole on soft compound tyres is trying to hold off the charge of Pagani. Pagani is on the mediums. And the more I'm looking at the fuel actually, I think with a little bit of lift and coast, or a little bit of luck to make it to the end, a little bit of lift and coast, Lee Cole might make this to the engine on that fuel. It's not that big a task, I don't think, in all fairness. The question is going to be whether the tyres are happy about that. Pagani not going to have a problem with tyres, but should, by all intents and purposes, be losing a couple of seconds a lap on those soft compound tyres, but is staying slap bang in that mix for the lead of this race. Joker into the pits, that'll be his final stop. Talking of lead, there is lead into that top three, or still in that top three. 16.1 seconds over behind Pagani, who's still battling it out for the lead with Lee Cole. And it's a very, very good battle here. Joker is fourth, is 6 seconds clear of Zomlar. 17.5 up from Dusty Fossil, running in 6th position. A lot of work for Dusty to do if they're going to break into that top 5. But doesn't look like they're under too much pressure at the moment from CSSDK, who's fought their way back up to 7th on the track. 10 seconds back to Nightfire, who's finished their final pit. Omar Bruce Lee has also come out of the pits. That's 7.7 seconds back. Mick Astley, he's not running around, he's driving slowly into the pits. He goes from 10th position. That's probably not enough time for Drops to capitalise on that position. They have already been in the pits, Drops, but the gap will be closer. They may be able to chase them down on the racetrack, but it is a 33-second deficit. Lee Cole and Pagani getting all kinds of security there. Did you see that? Let's have a look at just how squirrely Pagani gets coming into Graham Hill, side by side, very much, quite a lot of the grass there. Very lucky to get away with that, to be fair. Should have been that far off the racing line. But coming back on, just couldn't get the power down quick enough, and finds that gap just unmanageable for them at the moment. They're going to have to put a bit of a shift to close that gap again. As we said, Leeds got into that top three, and at the moment, it's very difficult to see how Leeds going to do anything with catching those two in first and second. Probably should obviously be the on-rushing fastest man on the racetrack, Joker, who currently has a 1:22.8. 3 seconds, that's going to be for coming out of the pits, that. 3 second penalty for Zomla. That will allow easily Dusty Fossil to gain 5th place. So that's the route into the top 5 that Dusty Fossil was looking for. It wasn't really on a couple of laps ago, but a little error, and all of a sudden things change. Anyone that believes in the commentator's curse would genuinely think I must be properly cursed. So there we go, another accident for CSS DK. 12.1 behind Zomla. The gap to not fire significantly small now after that accident, which is 1.2 seconds. 10 seconds back is our Bruce Lee. From Nightfire, of course, and Nick Aston 41 seconds back in 10th, and drops 2 minutes behind the lead car. Right, so just having a look through the running order here. Right, let's have a look at the back of the pack, because there's Drox. Drox is currently 2 minutes back from the race leader. Mick Astley 22 seconds up the road. Does seem to be gaining on that car ahead, which looks to be... I'm going to have the names of them at this stage when we're waiting. That is Dusty Fossil just up there. Who is Dusty Fossil just up ahead? Mick Astley running in 10th position in that Ferrari 458. Was at one stage up in the top 3, so quite surprised him back there. 41 seconds behind eTeamHARD Bruce Lee in the Aston Martin. 10 seconds to Nightfire, who is 7 tenths behind CSDK. 1.2 behind Zomla. 8.2 seconds up the road. There is Dusty Fossil, who is actually been challenged by a car recently lapped. They've got every right to unlap themselves. They can do it safely without crashing. Just have to find a way through, because of course you're not obligated to let a blue flag car through, are you? Lead is in 4th. Joker has plonked their way into that top 3. 4.6 seconds clear. It's an 18-second deficit though to these two. We're still battling out for the lead. Pagani and Lee Cole. We have just 5 minutes remaining of round 1 here. Season 3, round 1 of the GT Invitational. Brought to you by, of course, GTI and eTeamHARD.com eSports. So Lee Cole still holding off Pagani, but these two are trading first place to the end of this race. And I can tell you something. I thought Lee Cole would have to pit again. This is a battle of the mediums versus the softs, because Pagani clearly significant pace. There's no doubt about it. Let's not pretend that Pagani is not super quick. But the benefit that Lee Cole has on those soft compound tyres, which isn't paying off at the moment, as Pagani makes that move into the lead, is it enough? It's usually a 2-second loss between the mediums and the softs, as we've seen from other drivers here. Pagani clearly hadn't read that script and has decided they don't actually care if it's a 2-second loss, because they're going to do soft qualifying times almost on those tyres. Lee Cole, the lap times are very similar. Lee Cole's lap times on the softs incredibly similar to Pagani's on the mediums. So it looks like Pagani actually is going to settle it, and it seems to settle actually better, much better in this race than they did in race number 1. I know you're going to say, oh well, they won it. How much more do you need? Settled do you need to be? But they weren't. I mean, it wasn't an easy task. They didn't get out in the lead and hold on to it. They got out in the lead, they crashed. They got out to the lead again, they crashed. They got out to the lead again, they crashed. It's been, it's been a bit of a roller coaster for Pagani. But sometimes, listen, Jose Mourinho will tell you that it's not always about winning pretty. You can get the result, get it any way you can. And Pagani currently doing that already. 1.7 seconds clear of the pole. 27 seconds is the gap back to the battle for third. The battle for third at the moment isn't really much of a battle because we've got a lead there, 1.2 seconds clear of Joker. However, it is a little bit squeaky bum time for lead on fuel. The light is flashing, and there's still a little ways to go yet. Probably only one more lap for these guys. Or one, maybe 2 laps to go after this one. Depends what the time is for the cross run. Maybe just the 1 lap, looking at the timing. They've still got to come home. How many are actually going to make it onto the lead lap? That is the big bubbly burning question. Pagani most certainly will. And actually might get another lap to boot. Lee Cole definitely get another lap, of course, Run Joker. Lead, Dusty Foster, Zomlar. I don't know. Possibly. Zomlar, possibly Nightfire. Again, possibly. Omar Bruce Lee. This is the final lap for Omar Bruce Lee. Without question, on 8th position in the Aston Martin. The top 7 all on the lead lap. And it looks like this man here, Pagani, is going to bring this successfully home without too much drama. So 1:22.9, fastest lap of for them of the race. One Joker just picking them with 22.8, but fought their way from last all the way through to be 3.5 seconds clear. Into the final corner they come. Round the bend, down that Brabham straight, and pulls that Audi R8 across the line for 2 from 2 for Pagani. So guess who's going to have a big bunch of weight on their car after this race? Lee Cole coming home in second. Good. Second place for Lee Cole there. Joker redeems the monumental mess up for race number 2. Does finally get a podium. Albeit almost 30 seconds on the current winners. Of course, the line Joker goes. There is lead. Well deserved 4th place. Although, how long is that going to be? That's a car unlapping itself. 4th place. I thought that battle was on then. Dusty Fossil coming home in 5th. Nightfire will be not far behind in 6th position. Across the line they go, boom, boom. Here comes Nightfire. Flashy. There across the line, there. Zomlar rounds out the rest of the pack. Fastest lap to 1 Joker with a 1:22.8. That was a bit good, wasn't it? That was a bit good. So there we have it. That, in the immortal words of my very good friend Borat, it was indeed a very, very nice. So let's go back to the lobby. Congratulations to Pagani. That's 2 wins from 2 for you. Shall we have a quick butchers at one thing? That's what we're looking at. Let's remove that. Let's go there. So Pagani takes the win in that R8 Evo 19. No additional point for fastest lap, of course. Not there for Pagani anyway. That's a big point haul because you've got the it's 50 points and the 30 points and the extra points for pole position as well. That's a really, really sizable point haul for Pagani. Lee Cole, Corvette C7 comes home in second. 1 Joker also in the Audi R8 with a 1:22.8 fastest lap, extra bonus points for that. Rounds out that top 3. Lead in the FT1 comes home in 4th. Dusty Fossil in the F-Type in 5th. Nightfire in the Ferrari 458 Italia comes home in 6th. Zomla in 7th in that Corvette C7. The V12 Vantage, driven by Ahmad Bruce Lee, comes home in 8th position. CSS DK, Mick Astley and Drogs, all in the 458 Italia, all 1 lap down. So I did say before the race I didn't think the Ferrari 458 was particularly strong here. And I, for once, and it's not often I can say this, for once, it's actually correct. So, thank you very much for joining us. If you have arrived late, then just rewind. Please, whichever platform you're watching on, whether it be Black Flag Racing TV, or whether it be eTeamHARD, or whether it be GTI, this 3-platform event, click the like button, click the subscribe button, then go to the other 2 channels and do that for them as well. Get on with it. You done yet? At some point we'll make sure the links to the others are in the description down below. But all that's left for me to say is to thank you for joining us, the GT Invitational Season 3. Round number 1 from Brands Hatch, brought to you by Black Flag Racing TV on the broadcasting, eTeamHARD.com esports on the back office stuff. Next week we are back for more action, for more racing. Join me tomorrow on Black Flag Racing TV for the opening round of the mini challenge. And I guarantee you, if you're not racing in it, or if you can't make it to racing in it, then do check it out, because it's wickedly awesome little competition with some minis smashing it around some brilliant iconic racetracks. All that's left for me to say is I've been Urban Pirate. This has been Black Flag Racing TV, and it's been emotional.